I'm really starting to believe Donald Trump is strategically doing certain things that he's doing to expose America's government
Strategically.
for what it is. Uh, the paperwork that he's talking about, the way he's exposing the voting process, how the delegates get, who gets
Okay,
the
I'll open the door.
delegate,
Give me a minute.
even if the majority of the people aren't voting for that person, how that whole process is working. I'm starting to believe Donald Trump is really doing this strategically, even though he sounds like a madman. I'm thinking it's part of his plan. I really am. I'm not going to vote for the man, but pay attention to the
To
thing
what he's saying. I got you, baby. I got you.
table. And not only that, what Taquan was just saying about the whole 9/11 situation, years before 9/11 happened, when the first bombing attempt happened, they were actually telling people how to bring the towers down via the news when the news tells too much. They don't realize it. And when they tried to blow it up from the garage, you can click every announcer at some point in time.
Said that there was a bomb that just went off. You absolutely right. Listen, we
But that you could not bring. They said this word for word. You could not. The tower was structurally built where you cannot bring it down from the bottom. You have to bring it down from the top. So they were saying this when the first bombing happened. So now that everything, like you said, all this paperwork, all these engineers, scientists, everyone that was collectively
you are going
talking
on
about
camera.
how it did happen is because they knew that you could bring it down from the bottom, and they went and they found out how to bring it down. So, yeah, the conspiracy is not a conspiracy, it's real. America played a part in it, whether they liked it or not, because they provided the information for this to happen.
You know what? Y'all got these phone lines blowing up, and I can't even take these calls. It's about to be power hour. We didn't even get through all of the news or even half of the news. Listen, I'm trying to tell you, we could have a week-long conversation on 9/11. And maybe that's what we need to do is have a week-long conversation on 9/11 because the 9/11 papers might come out if Donald Trump becomes president. Y'all need to know the truth. I promise to tell the truth. I promise. We really do need to have a conversation, but right now we are not going to have that conversation because I need to get through these news. Today is smoking on weed. Hey, in the middle of the barn. 420. Massachusetts pro-pot group says the governor and the mayor are complete and total hypocrites. So the group unveils posters of Baker and Wash, a recovering alcoholic, to point out the pair's support of more liquor licenses while opposing the state's marijuana initiative. So I don't know if you know this, but your mayor and your governor is trying to make it completely illegal for you to sit here and smoke your weed, hey, in the middle of the Boston Commons. Period. They're trying. Listen, they said we don't know where the money coming from, but we got money to back up what we're trying to sell. And what we're selling is no weed initiatives around these parts. You don't believe me? Do your due diligence. Lizzie Guyton, the spokesperson for the governor, said Baker believes voters should get more than unfortunate and insensitive attacks from those seeking and open a new billion-dollar commercial marijuana industry in the Commonwealth. She said that Baker and Walsh have backed legislation that would relax the state's liquor licensing rules to potentially allow more establishments to open. Walsh, a Democrat who people believe is a Republican, has also proposed a later closing time for Boston bars, while Baker, a Republican that sometimes acts like a Democrat, supports a 2010 ballot question that repealed the state's sales tax on alcohol, which is also subject to excise tax, he said. Pause. You guys remember when Anario? You remember when Anario was in the studio and he was giving his rendition of his report that he did in school about the effects of marijuana not being a gateway drug? And again, this is a 12-year-old giving some facts. So maybe we need to take Anario to the State House and the City Hall, because for you to sit here and put millions of dollars behind not opening a billion-dollar business here in the state of Massachusetts, where basically people smoke weed and blow it in the cop's face already. Like already, you can pull me over. I'll have weed in the car, and all you're gonna do is give me a citation that I probably won't pay, and there are no repercussions to my lack of actions. We are one of the most lax states when it comes to marijuana. Would it not make more sense to at least get paid off of it? I'm sorry, maybe that wasn't in GE's plan, so we can't move forward. But I digress. In other news, there is an awesome story. She is a chica for Boko Haram captive to U.S. college student. I love her. I appreciate her. I cannot even begin to pronounce her name, but she is a chica. She's 20 years old. She was one of the few girls that managed to escape from Boko Haram, and she spoke with members of Congress last week, renewing calls for the United States to support Nigeria in its fight against Boko Haram. But why would we want to go to Nigeria to fight Boko Haram when they have nothing we want right now? So until you guys have something we want, we really don't care. I'm being facetious. If you can't hear it in my voice, I'm being facetious. She is currently a college student in the U.S. Though she is not disclosing the school, she shared her story with reports, and I think it's an awesome story to hear. And I will post that on the Wake Up with Tayla Andre page. In other news, really quickly, I'm getting messages over here that's like, nah, Taylor, we want to talk about 9/11. I know you do, but that's not today. We can't do that today, baby. That's a long conversation. A lot of people have a lot to say when it comes to 9/11, and we just can't stop the broadcast and turn it loose. Mississippi jails are losing inmates. I posted this actually on Facebook and Instagram. And instead of reading the report, I'd rather read the little meme that I posted because it breaks it down a little bit more. So in this meme, it talks about Mississippi jails are losing, my apologies, are losing inmates, and local officials are devastated by the loss of revenue. If they do not send us Black inmates, we can't make it. No, it's been edited. It has been edited.
But is it a real post?
No, it is a real post. It's from Ryan Grimm, the Washington bureau chief for the Huffington Post.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's legit.
Yeah, on the Huffington Post. Absolutely. Shout out to Julia Mahia, who's currently in the building. Like, hold on, that's not real, Taylor. Yes, it is. County officials across Mississippi are warning of job losses and deep deficits as local jails are being deprived of the state's inmates needed to keep them afloat. Listen, you just don't lock me up for no reason so you can get paid. If they don't send us more inmates, we can't make it. People ain't trying to go to jail. That's not what we're trying to do with our life right now. Officials say that state government and private prisons, which are looking to boost their own revenue as sentencing and drug policy reforms are sending fewer bodies into the correctional system. In the late 1990s, as overcrowded Mississippi prison system buckled under the weight of mass incarceration, the state asked local governments to build local correctional institutions to house state prisoners. It was billed as a win-win. The Mississippi Department of Corrections would foot the bill for each prisoner, and the counties would get good jobs guarding them. The state guaranteed that the local jails guaranteed you. Maybe you guys don't remember, about 3 months ago, we read a report about how jails were suing the state because in the contract, it told them that they would be paid and they would be 90% full at all times. Do you not remember when the state, I believe it was Florida, when Florida's Florida's correctional service or whatever private sector of a prison said they were going to sue the state because the state wasn't providing them with enough inmates. This is real life. This is your life. I'm not even going to read anymore. This is your life. This is real life. And this is all you are. You're a number. Your social security number is a number. That inmate number is a number. You are nothing more but a number. And guess what? When you die, your stock is replenished and you are a number.
Your lot even has a number.
Even your lot has a number. You better say something, Julia Mahia.
We even have.
Put it on your lip. Come on, bring that down. We go ahead.
No, I'm not even gonna go there.
Come on.
Yes, we have. Do we have school ID numbers?
Yeah, we have school ID numbers and college ID numbers. You better say something.
Numbers up in here.
Yeah, it's a numbers game.
Mm-hmm. Okay, So this is a
Put it on your lead. Come on, you.
I know, but
you
the
in this
sun
business.
is all up in my face.
The sun is
Taylor.
beautiful. Good rising, good rising. We have Julia Mahia in the building. We're talking about education.
We're talking about the Determined Divas.
And that's education, ain't it? Circled around.
Yeah, that's one of the events. But I'm gonna lead the conversation today, just so you know, little Miss Taylor.
Okay, Mama. Whatever you want to do. Today is your world. I'm just a squirrel trying to get a nut.
I'm a groupaholic, so I'll be representing several groups today.
Oh, well, we have a call on the line right now.
Not for me though. That's 9/11. Keep that 9/11 conversation going.
Good rising, calling you live.
Good rising. I just wanted to comment on the privatization of the jails. There was something on one of those shows not a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a couple of months ago, but there's brand new jails that are empty. When I say brand new, like, you go get the brand new car and the wrapping is still on the seats. There are brand new jails that were scheduled to open in different states throughout the South and Midwest that have not opened because of what you just said. The stock is down. So we got all these people that got into the private sector and put their money in to build these jails, and they are angry because pretty much they lost their shirt because these brand new jails are unpopulated.
Mm-hmm.
Not one guard, not one inmate.
Mm-hmm.
And for all the parents that like the Jordan,
it's a snap.
Michael Jordan is a privateer. He is a profiteer, rather. He is invested in several prisons. So all you ladies that run out and get the Jordans so your boy can be the fly kid at school, your fly kids, if you don't raise them right, will end up in that fly jail that those fly shoes are paying for.
That's called a poverty trap. Entrapment by Jordans. Run for your life. Because they will get you.
I love you. You know I love you, right?
You know I love you too. But today I'm going to be really good. Because I got some F-bombs. I'm just joking. I'm going to be.
Is that you? Please don't. I like my job.
No. Today, Taylor.
Because I know I dropped the F-bomb yesterday.
You did. It's okay.
In the governor's office.
It's okay.
I touched them drapes, though.
Yes, you did.
Dival
Patrick. What is it?
Dival Patrick.
Dival Patrick. We have fun.
We
always do.
We
always do. We always go gallivanting through the halls of the State House.
I love this. It's one of my favorite places in the world.
This way, so because
Okay, for the sun.
The sun is all.
I got you.
Face.
She won't let me put her on Periscope or Snapchat. I'm gonna try and get her though. I'm gonna try.
Not today, y'all.
You going online today?
Are we on? Are we good?
We
well.
about to be on TV in a second.
No, you put me on TV and that's it for you. I'm done forever. Don't call me. Don't text me.
So this is gonna be one-sided. We have somebody in the studio, but visually it's only one person. We do have a caller really quick.
No, y'all know what? Y'all better stop calling in 2 minutes.
Okay, I'll give you 2 minutes. Good rising, caller, you're live.
Real quick, I was calling about basically talking about right now, basically the pipeline system and no education, right? I live in Brockton, right? And Governor Baker just gave Brockton basically $10 million less for schools. Brockton got basically the lowest budget for schools in all of Massachusetts, but he just gave state police the go-ahead to go build like a so-called state police facility in Brockton, and Brockton's going to be policed by 20 more state police. I understand Brockton does have some type of a crime problem. I'm like, okay, so you're taking money out of the education for money into the police. So basically you're trying to tell, okay, basically that's where our future is. Forget the education, we're just gonna put more police on the streets and lock the guys up. So instead of starting when the kid is young, we don't wanna do that. We just wanna put you guys in jail to basically keep the economy going. So that you don't have money for education, but you have enough money to go build a brand new facility for the state police. And half the time, they're not even, taking care of what they need to take care of. Half the time, it's you and me and you that's not really doing anything, that's getting harassed. So it's like, what's really going on here?
Wake up, everybody, no more sleeping in bed. I hope y'all listening, because I just pulled up the story. I was completely unaware. Thank you so much for informing. Keep up keep track of the story. It's currently written in the Enterprise. Brockton Kids Count takes aim at Governor Charlie Baker. The state will argue that we gave you an increase this year, said Aldo Pachero, chief officer for the Brockton Public Schools. They did $350,000. The problem is our budget grows by millions every year. The fact that we're receiving 0.2% increase is unconscionable. And there's a lot of people in this meeting. There's all type. The diversity in this pitch is ridiculous. The first step in the efforts to mobilize a massive campaign calling for more state funding for Brockton Public Schools took place in a packed cafeteria Thursday night. The Brockton Kids Count kicked off a meeting, brought together more than 100 community members, putting on campaign buttons and signing pre-written letters addressed to lawmakers to the State House. The standing room only crowd, those 100 people needed to go to the State House. So I thank you so much for informing us and giving us that information. We definitely need it. Julia Mejia, this is one of the points that we're going to be discussing today.
Oh, yeah? We're going to be talking a lot of...
It's this your world.
It's my world.
It's
So
your
actually,
world.
we're going to talk about 3 different initiatives that we have going on.
Okay.
And they're all related. But I want to go back to that caller real quick and acknowledge the fact of the matter is that these are our dollars. Right. And so we pay taxes, and going back to the Tea Party days, no taxation without representation. I feel like we are losing sight of the power that we have when it comes to our coins. Right. And so I think that we need to start holding all systems, state, local, city, which is local, right? All accountable to us, because these are our dollars that they're playing with. These are our dollars that are supposed to be utilized to invest in our lives, but yet they're being used in other ways. So I think that we need to recognize it's not just around fighting, but really demanding that we have full transparency when it comes to the way the budgets are set and who dictates who gets what, and then how that money gets trickled down into our schools and all these other places. But today, are you recording me? I will look. Oh my, I just looked up and I got this big old phone in my face. It's so wrong, Tayla.
Come on. Keep going. Just keep going.
Y'all don't know.
We love you. You're beautiful. You're gorgeous. Bonita, mommy. Bonita.
You know
Come
what?
on.
It's early in the morning.
But you're right. You're absolutely right. We do need to hold all levels of government accountable.
And we need to get that camera out my face even better. That would make me feel so much better. You know that, girl? You fine. You all up in my mouth. So let me just tell you, I'm sure some of you all know me. I've been on the show now quite a few times. And so today I'm representing, I'm going to talk about an event that's happening tomorrow through the Determined Divas, which I'm not sure if you probably don't remember, but last year we launched the Civic Engagement Challenge with the idea. This is through the Family Independence Initiative, which they have over 700 families across Boston. And the goal within these family groups is to create our own social clubs and our own events and activities that really kind of help change the narrative around poverty, but also really create spaces for families to own their own power and be entrepreneurs and really kind of like change the conversation. So we got a small grant to do a civic engagement challenge, and we did a candidate forum last year in October, and we decided that what we wanted to do is keep people engaged beyond the elections. So you know how candidates come around your way, door knocking when they want your vote, and then they get elected, and then it's crickets because they just don't come around no more. So the Determined Diva Dialogues is a space for us to do accountability check-ins. And we're focusing on the 4 topics that we surveyed families on, which is education, public safety, housing, and youth opportunities, right? And so
they asked, where were you? She doesn't want to be on TV. Go ahead.
Oh, yes, people. Sorry, you can hear my voice though. So the Determined Divas set out to launch the series of dialogues to do just that, create an opportunity to keep the conversation open, hold elected accountable to the things that they said that they were going to do during the elections, and just to do check-ins and see their constituents more as partners and not just consumers. And so that we can shape the conversation, and whatever decision making they have, we can help influence that. So the first event that we are hosting is launching
Tomorrow.
From 5:30 to 8 at Davis Leadership Academy at 23 Leonard Street in Fields Corner. And we're going to be exploring education. But we're going to be exploring education through very specific lenses. We're looking at housing, how housing and homelessness issues impact education. So how our babies show up when they've been displaced. How do they show up in school? What does that look like? We're going to look at social and emotional trauma and how that shows up in the classrooms, with violence and all the issues that our young people are facing. We're going to look at education through the lens of public safety and what we need to do. Tayla's multitasking up in here.
Go ahead, continue.
Public safety. We're going to look at school quality, and we're also going to look at responsive community and family engagement. And the goal really is to have a conversation about education that is not so politicized, even though we'll have elected officials in the House, but the conversation really is digging deeper into the issues that are impacting the way our kids show up at school, So that dialogue, we have Ron Dorsey, the Chief of Education, that's going to be representing from the Mayor's Office. We have City Councilor Campbell. We have at-large Councilor Presley. We have City Councilor Frank Baker. We have the President Council Michelle Wu. We have Senator Chang Diaz, and we have State Rep Gloria Fox so far who have signed up. So we're really excited about that because that's going to be the first dialogue series that we launch, and the goal really is to flex our political will and also to demonstrate the fact that families do care about what's happening behind the scenes, and they want to be involved in conversations that impact their families, and we want to be involved in shaping that conversation and what that looks like. So that's tomorrow. So I'll pause there in case anybody wants to call and ask any questions, which I doubt. But
617-282. But what you're saying is valid.
Right.
What you're saying is common sense that we would have expected to have come from the sector that pays for us to have these conversations.
Right. But yet we have a civic group now that we're taking control and we're doing it ourselves because no one's
going to give us anything.
Right. So for us, this is why we have to change the dynamics in terms of how we see ourselves. Either we're participating in the process or we're complaining about it, right? So I think if we take charge and we start owning these conversations, then we can have a more sense of accountability on the end of those folks who came knocking on our door, right? So if you're not knocking when it's not election time, then you're not doing your job. And so for us, our goal really is to create spaces for families to have conversations. So the first one is education, by looking through it through very specific lenses. And then the next one we're going to do around public safety, because as the summer heats up, then we're going to do housing. We're still lining things up, but the first one is education.
Listen, I want to be all in there for housing.
Yes.
You gonna bring the BRA to the table?
Yes. And I'm gonna for that one, we're also going to be having Tayla Andre be the moderator.
Really? They're going to hate you. They're going to hate you.
But no, seriously, I think it's important for us to create spaces that are not hostile, but that people recognize that these people are the folks that are supposed to be representing us. And that they're not God. They're not like super duper,
They bleed like you.
Exactly. And sometimes they act like they don't know you. But yeah, don't you know that you came knocking at my door 5 months ago?
Asking for my signature. Yeah. And now you can't even acknowledge that I exist.
Right.
You're like that ex-boyfriend that want to walk past me. Okay.
You're running from me like, I got some child support that I got to give you, right? So what's up? So I think that it's time for us to really recognize the whole idea of Determined Divas is to help our communities understand their political power. And that the reason why we don't get things done is because we're not out there actively engaged in the political process. And politicians pay attention to people who vote and people who fund their campaign.
And the people who show up at their door unannounced with questions.
So if you live in a district that has nothing going on, it's because your peoples aren't voting and they're not making noise. But if we start making noise...
If you don't shut that off, you making a whole lot of noise.
Oh, you know what it is? It's my alarm. My alarm has a different setting. Okay. Sorry, viewers and listeners out there. I hope I did not violate your eardrums with that. But in any case, I will turn off my phone.
Thank you, Mommy.
But we're really excited. And Family Independent Initiative is a great nonprofit initiative. It's actually national. And we have over 700 families in Boston that are involved.
And how do you get involved? So if I am a parent, I want to get involved
With family initiative. So the Family Independence Initiative, it's like a cohort of groups. So you sign up as a group.
Okay.
So it's not an open thing. You have to like apply to
As a group.
and you need at least 6 people to be a family group. So we have my family group has folks that are in housing, doing work around housing, doing work in the community. So that's why we're very civically engaged. But then there are other family groups that want to do stuff around growing food naturally. There's all these different types of initiatives. And Teresa McIntyre is also part of FII, and her family group. She started an initiative for parents who have children with special needs. So that's her family group. That's her group.
Could you join her family group?
You can join her. You can join her social club. What through the groups we get opportunities to apply for social grants.
Okay.
And so Parents of Purpose is a social.
So these aren't just groups. These are politically active.
It's not so much politically, but some of them are socially social justice. Some of them are political. Some of them are community. So you're just filling a need in the community. So
whatever your need is, there may be a group already out there that you can join,
that we've already created. Yep.
Or you can create your own where you need 6 people to start your group.
And you have to go through the FII website. I'll give you the website.
Okay.
So you can share it on your page. I'll send you all the details so families who are interested in learning more about FII can do so.
And FII stands for
Family Independence Initiative.
Family Independence Initiative.
And it was created out in Oakland. I think it was California.
Did we bring that over when we brought over the superintendent? Is that when that came?
No, this has been here for a little bit longer.
Okay.
And this is focusing really on is reshaping the narrative around poverty and how communities can really mobilize, and that you don't have to give us fish. We can
fish ourselves,
and we can create our own communities basically, and really is the power of being able to do that. So it's a great initiative. And so through that initiative, we were able to create the Determined Divas Civic Engagement Challenge as our contribution to our community. So I'm really excited.
I'm really excited because you have some big names on this flyer.
Oh yeah, so I did say we got some big names.
Give those names one more time. What are these big names coming through?
J-Lo, P. Diddy.
No, we wish.
Yeah, no, we have Senator Chang Diaz, who has just really been a great listener and active participant in conversations that impact our communities. Gloria Fox, who's on her way out, but definitely
the only African American female
is on her way out and will be making an appearance at our event tomorrow night. We have City Councilor Campbell, who's going to be representing issues around public safety.
Okay.
We have City Councilor Frank Baker, who's going to be talking about housing and homelessness. We have City Councilor Ayanna Presley at large, who's going to be focusing on social and emotional trauma, how that shows up in our schools. We have the City Council President, Michelle Wu, who's going to be focusing on community and family engagement and what that looks like in our schools. And we have the Chief of Education, Ron Dorsey, representing the Mayor's Office, who will be talking about school quality. So we have a pretty good...
What do you mean school quality?
So he actually created, he was a part of a group looking at the school quality framework and what quality looks like. How do we define quality and what does that look like? Because it's different to everyone. So we're going to look at quality or lack thereof in our schools, looking at issues around equity and accountability and transparency, because everybody talks about money. How that money is spent and how it trickles into our classroom is a conversation that a lot of families are interested in.
And we never hear that rendition. We never hear that.
No, we only hear that there's no money, but we don't hear what happens to
where the money's going.
Follow the money, people. But so he'll be there talking about that. So we're really excited about the lineup that we have.
And these are just confirmed.
These are just confirmed. So there
more may come.
Yeah, so more may come unannounced, which is fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the more the merrier. But really the goal is to create a space for our families and community residents to recognize and claim their power and have real meaningful conversation. So it's not going to be showing up, meeting and greeting and sitting on stage. We're creating roundtable discussions so that we can dig deeper into these conversations and then have a large group discussion too, so that it's not going to be a stereotypical forum. We're trying to make it as interactive as possible. We're trying to remove all barriers to engagement. We want the residents to really connect and hold and have space with their elected officials because they represent us. So we want to remove all those barriers.
So Julia Mejia, you just gonna kick down the state house and the city hall doors and say, no, come sit with your people?
Well, of course, because see, this is the thing. It's about having power with, not power over, and we have to change that dynamic, right? So what happens is oftentimes elected officials are seen as, oh, you want to take a picture with them? Oh, can you have to call their scheduler? They become celebrities, right? Or you feel like, oh, wait a minute, but in reality, they're mortals, right? They're just, what is that the word?
Mm-hmm.
They're just like us, right? And they have a job to do, and their job is to serve us. And we have to change that dynamic, thinking that we're supposed to be so lucky that they come to our events. Actually, that's your responsibility. That is your job. You have been hired to do a job, and that job is to listen to the people that you serve and make sure that their needs are being met. And if you're not doing that, we need to do an evaluation on that conversation and check in and say, hey, just don't forget, this is what we talked about when you knocked on my door 6 months ago, right? This is where we're at today. And I think that
you are doing such a disservice to the listeners by not letting me put you on film. You're doing such a I wish you could see this passion. I wish you could, like, this isn't rhetoric for you. This is life.
No, this is life. So I started off my life, advocating for my people. My mom did not speak English. My mom was undocumented, Dodge and I, see whatever those immigration people are. And we had to go to the welfare office, right? And I was the only one around the way who didn't know what the welfare office was, so I didn't care going in there and translating for my mother and everybody else's mother that was too embarrassed to go in there. And, at a very early age, I learned how difficult it could be growing up in poverty and how people treated you and the stigma that exists. So for me, I've always been one of those, from when I was a kid. I had to learn how to navigate systems that were never really created for my people. So for me, this conversation, anything that I do, work, professional, it's not about work. This is, for me, is personal. And sometimes that's why I get really passionate about this. And I know that my passion sometimes is a little bit intimidating and overwhelming for people, but I can't apologize for who I am. I believe what I believe because I have lived experience, right? And so for me, it's a cause. It's not a job, right? So I do this day in and day out, whether I'm at Dunkin' Donuts, I stop in shops, I'm talking about things that are impacting our community. And I just don't talk about education. I talk about housing. I talk about public safety. I talk about discrimination. I talk about race. I talk about things that make people uncomfortable. I talk about the fact that I'm Dominican and Dominican folks don't think that they're Black. That to me is ridiculous, right? So I talk about things that make people feel uncomfortable. And that's okay. And sometimes people either embrace it or they want to run away from it. But at the end of the day, it's about speaking in your truth. And so that's what we need to recognize, is that we all have a truth to tell. And we have to create those spaces to tell our truth. Because by doing so, we're able to change our destiny. Because right now, this is not acceptable. We cannot accept the status quo in any type of system that we're dealing with. So, good morning, good rising. How y'all doing out there? Tayla got me here, hallelujah. So yeah, we're really.
You better preach. This is real life. You are preaching. Yeah, well, you are. You're preaching to a lot of people because these are the conversations that need to be had. The fact that housing and poverty make people uncomfortable. The fact that race makes people uncomfortable. These are the conversations that should be in the forefront, not in the back, being called unorthodox. This should not be unorthodox conversations. These need to be conversations that are had every day on every level, whether it's in our community or whether it's in our political spaces.
Right, and then, when people talk about the impoverished neighborhoods or disenfranchised and all the labels that they put on us, at the end of the day, we're not impoverished, right? We're not disenfranchised. What we are is still asleep because we haven't woken up to recognize our power, right? And I think what's happening and what I am sensing is that there's a sense of like the sleeping giant is waking up. And communities of color, we're owning it. We're being more loud. We're pushing on systems, and people getting really nervous about that because the reality is that we have been living under the slave mentality for too long, and I think that makes a lot of people uncomfortable. And it's all good to be uncomfortable, people. We're not gonna hurt you. We're just gonna take back what's ours, and that's it. And we're gonna keep it moving. And this is about all of us, not just some. And that's the other conversation. You know,
All means
all
all.
means all. And you know, even with our elected officials and our, you know, self-appointed community leaders, you need to recognize is that at the end of the day, the bottom line is that you have a responsibility to your people. And if you're not representing your people in the spaces that you have privilege to be in, then you're doing a disservice to all people.
Oh, can you repeat that, please? Please.
I hope you recorded it because I can't. I don't know. That I speak from my heart, so I can't. I think it was something about if you're at the, I don't know. It's something about being at the table and not representing your people. You're doing a disservice to your people. The bottom line is that there are some people out there who profess to be representing us in spaces that we have never been invited to, but they have because of their privilege. And then when they get into these spaces, they speak on our behalf with so much conviction, and they don't even know what they're talking about. And so what we need to do is we need to hijack those conversations and interrupt them and say, excuse me, pump your brakes, but you have no idea
what you're talking about.
To be me. Or you have no idea about what you're talking about because you're talking about it from a Ivy League education perspective. And just because the color of your skin happens to be Black or brown doesn't necessarily mean that you represent all Black and brown folks. And that's the problem in Boston. And I'll tell you one more thing about Boston. I grew up here and I moved to New York for the bulk of my career. And let me just tell you, I got opportunities in New York that I knew I would never get in Boston. I had to move to New York, right, for opportunities that I knew I would never get in Boston. I come back to Boston, right, and I feel more at home in other cities that I visit than I do in my own hometown. That says a lot about the type of dynamics that we have here in Boston, about how people are welcomed, how people are included in conversations, right? And that's across the board. And let's not even talk about being a woman of color.
Why not? Why you don't talk about it?
I'm just saying, like in Boston, in certain spaces in certain neighborhoods in Boston, I walk into a restaurant, I walk into anywhere, and I feel the sense of like,
what? What is she doing here? Who does she know?
Yeah, like what? But I go to any place in New York and I feel like I belong anywhere. But in Boston, I feel like I gotta watch where I go because I may not be welcome. And it's not just in the white neighborhoods either. It's certain little bougie Black and brown places that I go to that I'm like, wow. It's just being an urban Latino or urban Black in Boston is a very different experience than anywhere else.
I love these unorthodox conversations. 617-282-0062. We have my mentor. You are. I love the heck out of you. My mentor, Julia Mahia, in the building. We're talking about, I can't even name today's conversation. What's today's conversation, Julia?
Life.
Life.
No, yeah.
We got some callers on the line.
Oh.
All the lines are lit up.
Dad.
617-282-0062. We're going to take you guys one by one. Good rising caller, you're live.
My name is Tony, and I was just listening to this young sister speak. And you say I've been to New York because I wasn't comfortable in Boston, but you're back in Boston. Do you know right now that you're doing yourself a disservice because you're outdoing a service? Do you understand what I'm saying?
I don't. Can you break that down for me?
Where you go in life is where you go. If you feel uncomfortable, then that has to be only you. You have to look outside of the box. You have to understand that you're doing a service for the people because there's a passion that you care about the people. So no matter where you go, how uncomfortable people make you feel, you must continue to keep your head held high and you must continue to fight the good fight.
Thank you. And actually that's what I'm doing. And if you meet me in person, very little intimidates me. So even though I acknowledge the fact that my presence bothers people, but I don't ever stop speaking my truth. So I hear you, Tony, though. Thank you.
You know what? I wanted to say this to you. I went from Roxbury into the White House, into the governor's chambers as an employee, right? And I'm from Roxbury. It didn't change who I was. It don't change what I do for my community, because I still continuously fight with our elected officials to get them to understand that we put you there.
Oh, yes.
You didn't put yourself there, because had you not knocked on our door, or had you not asked us to sign your papers, you wouldn't be there.
So Tony, I'm gonna hope that you're gonna come to our event tomorrow night, and I'm gonna make sure I leave my contact info, because you're the type of person that I definitely want to connect with here in Boston, because you're making things happen.
Well, you probably see me all around. But anyway, you can take my information down.
Okay, so yeah, so
Go on, Tony. You want to give us that information? What, social media, or you want to
put your info?
617-272-0473.
It's
Now, whoever
recorded.
calls
It's
me after
recorded.
this, that's no problem.
It's recorded.
Y'all welcome to my phone, but just don't play on it.
Okay, thank you, Tony. Thank you. I'm gonna spam you, and I'm gonna send you some junk mail too while I'm at it. Thank you.
Well, but I'm saying we're on air live, and I just sent my phone number. And
we recorded it, so I'll go back
and write
it down.
The city. It hasn't changed in over 10, 15 years. Same cell phone number. And I do a lot of campaigns, and I've done a lot of campaigns and everything of that nature. But there are some people who will call that number just because they heard it and would want to play on it. And I'm a serious individual. I'm a nice person, and I'm a man of God. But by the same token,
don't play with me.
All right.
This is the lives of the people in our community, uplifting one another to move forward together.
Absolutely.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you. I love
it. Tony.
I love it. I love it. 617-282-0062. Good rising, Carly, alive.
Hi, good morning.
Good rising, baby.
Good rising. I'm calling because I'm not from here either, and most of my associates who live here in Massachusetts that I know that are from out of state, we all feel what you're talking about. So for him to say, "Oh, it's not any different anywhere," yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Unfortunately, the tone of Boston is one where it's unlike, say, down south, where they will tell you to your face they don't like you. We're here, they'll smile in your face and just keep a foot on your neck. So it's very hard to deal with the demographics here, and Black people not wanting to accept that there's a lot of racism in Boston. That's another problem. The Black people here don't accept that there's a lot of racism in Boston, just as much as anywhere else, if not, in some instances, more. And that is my only comment this morning.
I love you, baby. Thank you for sharing your truth.
And that's not your only comment. That is like the most powerful comment, because the truth of the matter is that we need to, as people of color, recognize that the racism is real in Boston and it has not gone away. If anything, it keeps just furthering. I'm on camera now, y'all, so I don't even know what to do with myself. So we could take another caller right now.
I want you to, hey, you might be uncomfortable in these spaces, but you need to be in these spaces, okay? We have another call on the line. Good rising, Carly, alive. It's you. Shut your radio off for me.
Yeah, I can tell her again. I love this. I'm not from here either. I'm a transplant, from a no-nonsense lineage and a no-nonsense place. And, I come here and see naked emperors riding elephants to everybody's living room and nobody's saying nothing, because Boston has the best trained house Negroes. It was the first colony. And so when you come to understand the history, you have to keep doing what you're doing and understand that there's a little bit of discomfort that you feel is them projecting.
This isn't radio. This is
or attempting to project their discomfort onto you because you're not their puppet and their bouillet. So big up to you. There's no wonder Tayla is so audacious, right? That stuff is contagious. Now I know where she gets it from.
You see where I get it from? You know what? When it's not even where I get it from. It's when hearts connect. I see you. Like in the Avatar, I see you and she sees me too.
Mm-hmm.
So Miss Bird, let's flock together. But keep on talking about the emperor with no clothes and the elephant in the living room that I'm supposed to be scared to talk about.
Yeah. Thank you. And you know what? For me to be from Boston and come back hard like that on my own town, it takes a lot of courage because I'm putting my own people on blast. But I think that I also have an opportunity and a responsibility to really hold some folks accountable to the kind of spaces we're creating or not creating to make sure that we all rise up. It just seems like there's some of us who have these big positions and we're keeping those positions to ourselves, and we're not really creating opportunities for all of us. And I think that that's an issue. And you know, I'm not trying to create any enemies, but I really want folks to recognize is that we have a responsibility to our people. And we cannot forget why we run for office. We can't forget why we are self-appointed community leaders. We cannot forget who we're here to serve. And if you're not serving your people, you're doing a disservice to them all. So I think that, you know, we need to recognize that and start really thinking about how can we create space. Like for me, I'm all about, I don't want to just be invited to the table and be asked to sit in the kitchen. Okay, don't invite me to some place and act like you're gonna let me be a part of the conversation and then have me sit out in the kitchen. Oh no, I'm sorry. Either you're gonna let me show up and be a part of that conversation at your table, or I'm gonna set my own. I'm gonna set my own table. I'm gonna create my own space. And I'm gonna bring my own people to the conversation, and we're gonna have our own conversation. And when we have our own conversation, we're gonna come to terms with some things that we need to talk about. And then all of us are gonna come to your table, and we're gonna talk about, can you create some space for us, because we need each other. And this is for me where I believe we have an opportunity with our community leaders and our elected officials to recognize that community residents, we're partners in this conversation. And the more opportunities that you create to include us in the decision making, not just have forums that we don't hear about until the day before, that we appreciate those forums, but to really meaningfully connect with the people that you serve in ways that changes policies to impact the people, not just making up things to be making up things to be making up things just because that's the thing to do. That's just not how you roll. That just makes absolutely no sense to me, right? So for me, the more opportunities that we can create to be partners, and I know it sounds like I'm being harsh. On
You're really actually being mild. Where's Mr. Nubian at? You're real mild right now.
Who, me?
Yes, this is mild.
Well,
you don't understand that. We have real life or unorthodox conversations on a regular basis.
Right.
Just because in many of the spaces that you're in, you have to keep it low key. It's free range here.
Right.
So,
right. So you know what? I do represent a lot of different organizations, right? So I need to also recognize that different hats that I wear. And when you're in spaces, and especially when you're out and having public conversation, I'm keeping true to myself. Right. And so for me, this is coming from my heart, but I don't want to ostracize folks. I really want to create a conversation that is inclusive. And sometimes people can't see beyond themselves to do that. And I think that this is part of that real talk type of situation right now. And just civic engagement is just one aspect of the issue that we have at hand. And now she also has a phone in my face, y'all. Like, this is really intimidating.
Stop snitching.
I didn't even put on makeup or lipstick, but anyways, so civic engagement is just one aspect. I mean, I started off my career. The reason why I ended up going to college was because the Reverend Liz Walker went to my school, and when I was a senior, and shared her story about being the first African-American anchor in Massachusetts. I was like, wow, I can go to college. I ended up in college thanks to her. I ended up working at MTV.
Hold on, pause. Can we please rewind?
To her.
I want to rewind because yesterday when we were in the governor's office and you were speaking your truth, one of the things that I was unaware of that you shared yesterday was how you came through college and how
difficult it was for me.
And not only that, yesterday she said, I graduated from Boston Public High School and could not formulate a proper sentence.
I had a hard time. My freshman year in college, I had a hard time. There were words that I should have known how to spell correctly, that you probably learned in the 5th grade, or maybe you probably learned in the 4th grade, but that, there was, spelled differently, just little things like that. I think we still do that as adults. I don't care if you went to Harvard, but yeah, I was not the best writer, and I passed high school because I had an amazing personality, not because I knew much of the material. So I got passed because of my personality. But anyways, I ended up working in television, and I came back to Boston, right, because of the violence. I really wanted to utilize what I had learned in New York to make a difference in my community, right? So coming back home, because this is my home, I feel like I have a big sense of responsibility to be able to impact change and influence different types of conversations. That's where my head is at. And because I represent so many different groups, I have to be mindful of how I occupy space, right? So I want to be a partner in conversations that most people either don't want to have, and I want to create space for real talk.
Okay. So, devil's advocate for a second. What about the people who say, you know, we were never invited to these spaces. We were invited as the help. We showed up and wanted to be a part of the conversation. You have to create your own conversations. You have to, like, just like you said, I'm gonna create my own table. So why not just create your own table? Why do you even want to be at the table when you've been outed before? We don't want you here. We don't want you at the table. Please leave. So we can continue doing what we're doing, moving the money the way we want to move the money, controlling the education the way we want to control the narrative, everything. We don't want you here. So why don't you just create your own table and keep it moving over there?
Well, that's what we do. That's what we're doing. We're creating our own table. We are literally creating our own table, right? We're literally creating our own table. At one point, it's going to get to the fact that if we stop voting for you, right? Those folks who are sitting at the table that has been created and set by someone else, we're discontent. We have lost faith in your ability to serve us, right? We're going to start hopefully breeding our own candidates, people who really truly represent us. We have an opportunity to change that, right? And that's the devil's advocate response to that, is that they need us as much as we need them. But at the end of the day, we're the ones who vote. Allegedly, we're the ones who have the power. But if we don't recognize that power and we don't start utilizing that power, they'll continue to dominate the conversation. They'll continue to dictate what the policies need to be. But we need to be engaged in that conversation. And even if it's just amongst ourselves, we need to create a platform that is reflective of our needs, not just the chitter chatter that you hear everywhere.
We have some callers on the line, 617-282-0062 if you're just now checking in.
I would like this. I forgot.
Yeah, we're live. We're live everywhere, baby.
It's live.
We're live. Shout out to YouTube. Shout out to those. That's YouTube, baby.
Hi, YouTube.
And then
we're
on Mixcloud. We're recording for Mixcloud, and you're live on air.
Can people chat?
Yeah, they can chat.
Tweet me.
They can tweet you. Go ahead. Tell me your Twitter.
Jules Inspires.
Spell it for them.
I'm not. Okay. JULES Inspires. INSPIRES.
Absolutely. That's your name.
Jules Inspires. I don't know how to spell it, but that's what it is. Jules Inspires. That's my Twitter handle.
I'm so proud of you because she didn't know what her Twitter handle was last year.
No, and I have 300 people following me. I don't even know them. I only know 5 of them or 10, maybe if I'm lucky, or probably 20. But, you know, I'm not good with numbers, but I know I have 300 and something.
She said, I'm not good with numbers, but what I do know is I have this passion for my community.
And that's
you don't have to be well educated. You don't have to have a doctorate degree. You don't have to have a master's degree, but you do have to have a passion for where you live, and you have to have a passion for your people.
Let's talk about the fact that we can't even afford to live in this neighborhood no more. Like, seriously, when I first, it's cheaper.
Don't do this.
Listen, you know what? It's cheaper for me to live in Manhattan than it is for me to live in
Boston. Yeah.
Manhattan. I had an apartment in Manhattan. It was less. Actually, it was what I'm paying now, but that was almost 10 years ago, right? So you have to understand. But now it probably would be a different story. But the fact of the matter is that there's still apartments in Manhattan.
That have rent control.
That you can definitely get in and live. Here in Boston, you'd be hard pressed to find. I'm lucky because my landlord is West Indian, and she's like 65 years old, and she's like Annalise's grandmother. She's like my mom, right? So we take care of each other. I sometimes run her errands. She sometimes watches Annalise. We have a good relationship, right? She hasn't raised my rent in 3 years. Like, I'm blessed. I recognize how privileged I am because I live in Dorchester, and I'm still able to afford to live here. Now, I don't know what's going to happen when her little taxes go up and she's elderly. She's got to make some choices, and, you know, then I'm going to end up in a shelter. I don't know, but I'm just saying.
I got you.
I'll go live with you. You be my baby mama. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? And this is the problem. And this is why I feel like we need to change the conversation, is because even the medium poverty line, right? I think
The BRA says in order for you to live into one of these BRA houses, your minimum income has to be $82,000.
right. So this is the thing that I have, right? That's an opportunity to change policy. We have to change what the medium income is for low income.
No,
right?
but if you call the city or if you call the state, they'll tell you it's not their fault because that's the AMI. That's the area.
federal.
That's the federal.
But we need to do something about that, because that federal does not reflect the reality, right? And that's the other thing that's happening with our education budget, is that Boston on paper is rich, y'all. We got some money in Boston. That that's not trickling down to the neighborhood. That's why Dorchester, Roxbury, and Mattapan needs to rise up and start saying, excuse me, woo.
You ain't gonna put me out. Not today.
I want to stay here. But see, that's another issue. Like, soon, candidates are going to start running for city council again. The mayor's office is going to, you know, everybody's going to start re-election.
And the community is going to be completely different. And your neighbor is not going to be your neighbor. They're going to be voting for somebody else who isn't voting for your needs, because they're going to be in a completely different tax bracket. They're going to have different needs from you.
And this is part of the weaning out process. That's why we're ending up in Brockton and Rhode Island and all
they
those.
just took the funding away from Brockton schools in order to build another police facility.
Yeah. Where's the priorities on that, right? Really look at priorities. Where's that?
And accountability.
And what's that saying to our kids? See, there's a lot of messages that we send our kids without even having to say anything. There's a lot of subliminal. There's a call on the line.
Yeah, we have all the lines are lit up.
Oh, well, let me talk to my viewers and listeners. People, come on. Tayla, stop holding me hostage.
Good rising, Kali, you're live.
Good morning, Taylor. How you doing?
Super fantastic.
I like to say I'm happy to hear this. Your guest this morning. She got me up with a smile, because those are the stuff I've been saying for over the 3 to 5 years calling this radio station. I appreciate her coming here this morning. I have nothing else to say, but please come back again, and we want to hear your voice. One thing I have to say before I leave: I did fighting for years in this radio station. Till we educate our folks, like your vote matters. You need to get up that day, get off, shut the TV off, and go vote. Till we realize that if we don't vote, someone else is gonna make our decision for our kids. Till we take this thing serious, we're just wasting our time. I keep saying it again. Your vote matters, guys. Wake up and smell the coffee. It's reality that's going on outside right now.
Yeah.
Wake up, everybody.
You know,
no more sleeping.
I really hope that you're going to come to our event tomorrow at Davis Leadership Academy, 23 Leonard Street at 5:30 for this elected official dialogue that we have. Taylor's going to post it on her websites and all her social media so that you all can download the flyer and show up, because this is our first one and we really want to make sure that we have a strong turnout. So I do appreciate you listening in, and this is the sort of stuff is that we need. It's our turn to shine, like they say. It's our opportunity to really reclaim our voice, because our voice is our vote, right? And our vote is our voice. So this is an opportunity for us to tap into that and use it. So thank you for calling, and I feel like I'm you, Tayla, right now, because you're multitasking over there. But I love you and I appreciate you.
Woo!
Whatever else you say.
And I hope you have an awesome day today. We have another call on the line. Good rising, Kali, you're live.
Taylor.
Good rising.
All I'm saying is this is just another part of justification. BRA knows this, and that's exactly what all of this is. That's all it is. Just another part of justification.
We know, baby. We know. Love and appreciate you. We know. So so we're coming to the top of the hour. We want to be in these spaces. We want to set the table. Yeah, so how do we set the table?
So first, step one is you come to our event tomorrow, the Determined Divas Dialogue. and sign up and just have a presence there. The other is that through another life that I lead, we have C-Plan, which is the Collaborative Parent Leadership Action Network. And on May 12th, we're partnering up with the Trotter Institute at UMass Boston, and we're producing a new series titled Redesigning Our School Culture, Understanding the Kids That We Teach. Our goal in that series, we're going to have the executive director of the coalition of the schools of the Coalition of Schools Educating Black Boys. It's a national organization. We have Carmela Sherwood, who's the executive director of Davis. We have Dr. Colin Rose. He's from BPS, the superintendent of Opportunity and Achievement. And we have Juan Cesar Romano, who's going to be, he's from Boston Day and even Academy. And so we want to, that's another opportunity for us to set that table, because we're going to have experts, all of color, okay? Every guest is a person of color on that platform talking about their expertise around how can we change the conversation and how can we create the type of school culture that our children deserve. And that's May 12th at UMass Boston. I'll send you the flyer for that too. But the goal, really, that's another opportunity. That's how we're setting our own tables, is really creating space for us to have one-on-ones, quote unquote, with people who look like us and understand us and are able to redirect the question and redirect the conversation so that it impacts us and our kids. So that's through C-Plan, and that's on May 12th. And then we also, through another group, Phenomenal Moms, we're going to be hosting a conversation with the superintendent from BPS, Dr. Chang, on May 9th at the Bruce Bowen building. And that conversation is going to be specifically for the Black experience in BPS. And that conversation is going to be about us, for us.
I want all the information.
So
right now.
Yes.
What information do you have about the Black experience?
The Black experience in Boston Public Schools is going to be on May 9th at the Bruce Bowling building, and that's going to be facilitated by a group called Phenomenal Moms. That's going to be where we're just working on the flyer right now, but that's going to be coming out soon. And that conversation is just for us, by us, to talk about us and the issues that we face in BPS. And it's about the Black experience at BPS.
Black at BPS. That's going to be the hashtag, right?
Black, you know. Exactly. And this is the thing, I want my people's, when it comes to race and all these issues, we all are dealing with issues, but we need to recognize that the Black experience, right, is not one that everyone could just jump on board on, because the Black experience is a very different and unique experience that Latinos can't say, oh yeah, I can feel you. No, you can't. And I'm Latina, and I can say that, right? So I think that we need to recognize that the Black experience is the Black experience, right? We can't just be like, oh, all people of color, because no, sorry. We need to recognize that the Black experience is what really has set the foundation for all the rest of us who have come after. And we need to honor that as well. So, yes.
I got a light skin friend that look like Rachel Dozo.
But yeah, I'm really excited about all of the work that we're doing, and I always love coming on the show because I feel like there's so many people who tune in, who are passionate, who recognize the conversation, who have that third eye open. And Tayla really does an amazing job at creating a space for real talk and pushing on boundaries that most folks don't want to talk about. And I think that today's conversation, I came in here, what am I going to talk about? But really, I have this event that's tomorrow, but ultimately it's every day, all day. It's not just around events. Like, the work is real, and it takes all of us to change that conversation. So whatever space this weekend, if you happen to be anywhere, talk about this. These are the sort of conversations that we should be having, even when we're having drinks with our friends. Like, these are the sort of conversations that even at birthday parties we can have. Like, have real talk. You don't have to get all deep in it, but are you registered to vote? Did you know so-and-so did this? Like, really share that truth that you hear here on the radio, and try to provoke some thought. Here's what I do. I like to provoke thought and inspire action. And that's what we all need to start doing in all the spaces that we occupy, is we need to provoke thought and inspire action. Get people to start thinking about things differently, and then more importantly, get them to act. Because thinking and talking is just half of the battle. Now what we need to do is take our actions one step further, and it's like closing that deal. We got to close the deal, my peoples, because it's like a do or die right now. If we don't recognize how important we are, no one else will. And if we do not show up at the polls, our concerns will not be a priority. And if we don't recognize that at the end of the day, they work for us, right, they will continue to disregard us. So now is the time for you all to rise up and take control of this conversation and make it about us. Period.
And what did you say? You inspire. What do you do?
See, you always got me so I inspire thought and provoke action. This is what we all need to do. We need to inspire thought and provoke action. Or did I say inspire? I don't know what I said. I always be saying things and then I forget what I say. But it's the thought that matters, that I don't get inspired and when the Spirit speaks through me. But it's really about provoking thought and inspiring action. We gotta provoke thought and inspire action.
I love you. I appreciate you.
You know, I do.
This is my mentor, y'all. I just adopted her. I swear. She called me one day and I was like, "You're mine."
I know. We've been together ever since. I call her my baby mama. Because you guys know how special Tayla is. Like, she is like this little gift of God. Like, she keeps it so real. Sometimes she drops F-bombs in places where I invite her to, and I don't even know what to do with myself. But you know what? I never ask people to stay on script. I always encourage people to speak from their heart. I don't care who it is that you're talking to. You just always got to speak from your heart and keep it real. And when Tayla's in a space, I don't know what's going to come out of her mouth, but I don't stop inviting her because that's true, right? You can't censor people. You got to let them speak. And you can't invite people to the table with conditions. You can't invite people to the table and say, you can only speak from this menu. You can only talk about this, because that's not real, right? You got to invite people, and then you got to let people show up as they are, not invite people and ask them to be a certain way. How can you do that? How can you invite somebody to your house and then tell them how they need to act? You cannot invite people to the table and then have an expectation that they're going to stay on script and they're going to speak about your agenda. You have to invite people and let them be. And that's why she took it there. We were there talking about education. She took it to the Feeney brothers. Who were they?
The Feeney brothers. They have there's 17 different Feeney brothers sites, and not one Black, brown, Latino, Asian, or woman on their site.
I know about that.
I sure did.
And she dropped some F-bombs. I almost fell out my seat. But you know what? That's real. Right there.
Charlie Baker understands.
But this is the deal. It's like people need to recognize is that when we show up as we are. We don't make any excuses. We don't apologize for our passion. We don't apologize for our lack of being polished. We just are who we are, and people cannot be afraid of us. Like, this is the problem, is that people are afraid of the truth. And that's what we are. I think that's
I promise to tell the truth.
The whole truth and nothing but the truth.
Nothing but the truth. We're at the top of the hour.
Ay, Dios mío, ya yo no puedo hablar más. Mira, me están mandando callar esta mujer aquí, ya ustedes saben, mi loco. I want to know where the Latinos are. We got to get some, if you're Latino and you're listening, holla. Llámame, déjame saber que you exist out there, okay?
I love her. Shout out to our sponsors. Tomorrow we have Coleman G. Howard, Truth, Love, and Compassion on air to speak about not only his sponsorship here, but also truth, love, and compassion. What does that mean to be enveloped in love your whole life and then to go out into the world enveloped in love and nothing really faze you? I ain't got no worries. I want to give a shout out to faithnaturalsbeauty.com. Get that deodorant. It's about to be summertime. Y'all about to be stank. It's all natural, has no aluminum, does what it needs to do. You can put it underneath your arms. It comes in a little jar, so you can put it under your arms, put it under your breast, put it in between your thighs. For the men, put it on your feet. There's multiple uses for all of her products. One more product, the Pum Pum Wash. Girls, it's about to be summertime. It's dress season time. Please keep it clean. No dirty panties. The Pum Pum Wash is absolutely amazing. It's not a summer's night. You need her intimate wash. With that being said, I love and appreciate you. Don't forget, we are bringing David Banner to Boston. We are bringing David Banner to Boston. Not I, not you, but we have work to do. Shout out to Reggie B. Shout out to Nikki Curry. And Zaz Foods in Hyde Park are so amazing. Shout out to Zaz. And we need money as far as David Banner is concerned. If you have $5, 5 cents, $50, $500, we need $4,000 to bring David Banner to Boston. He went from 10,000 to 4,000. Yeah. So
where is he?
Where is he?
Right now.
Last time I saw he was in Chicago. Like, he's all over the place all the time.
Where does he live? How much is, where does he live? Where does he live?
From an ATL.
Okay.
Can we get buddy passes? You got buddy passes? Come on, boo. Let's make this happen. Bring David Banner to New England because he's never been to New England.
He wants to come here.
He does. He absolutely does. With all the problems we have, that everything we discussed this rising about gentrification, about education, about the lack of diversity on our police forces. David Banner speaks about all the problems that we have. Black at BLS. David Banner talks about how.
When does he come? Can we get him here for the May 9th thing?
Can we get him here?
Ooh,
do we have the money to get him here for May 9th?
out.
Can we make it happen? With that being said, the conversation does not end at 7 a.m. Please continue these conversations, like Julia Mejia just said, in your workspace, at your birthday parties, anywhere, everywhere. I love you. I appreciate you. We got people saying these are our dollars, no taxation without representation. And don't forget, today is 420, and we are. Everybody got their own good. Verizon.
Good rising. Are we bringing David Banner for performance or for a lecture?
Hold on 1 minute.
Okay.
Cause I like to smoke a bone weed. Hey. Okay, baby, you're not live. Good rising though.
Good rising. I'm good. Are we trying to bring David Banner for a lecture or a performance?
We're bringing him for a lecture.
Okay.
If you want to make it a concert, it could be a concert too. But I'm just trying to get him here. We'll worry about the specifics when he gets here. And right now, we don't even have the money to bring him here.
How much are we trying to raise for him?
So we have raised, I want to say we've raised 200 as of now. We're like 3 days in. We've raised 200 and that's where we're at. But it started off as 10,000. We were able to talk to him and his event manager. We were able to bring it down to 4.
Okay. So we're trying to raise 4,000.
Yes.
All right. I am a member of Asphalt Assassins. I will put that on our page, and I will put that on MC's Communities page. And as a member, I will make a donation. So really, I don't know how to pin. I need to be able to contact you when you're not at the station. All right. Taylor.
TaylaAndre.
Okay.
Do you want my email or you want my phone number?
Yes, I'll give the email, yes.
Okay, so the email